Well, look, we have faces now.
Yeah.
Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to
Hey.
the Three Tints Up podcast. I'm saying the next portion mainly to trigger Raz, but I'm blessed to be joined by my Formula One friendos. If we have the same thing, Tom's, give us a wave.
What's up?
We got Raz down here, give us a wave. And Greg right over here.
What's up, everybody?
We had got a lot to cover. It was a spectacular race, but I think we'll kind of introduce each other. If you listen to us or not, you can kind of get some sort of sense of where we come from while giving us a little of our F1 prior opinions, I guess. And I guess we can start with Raz.
Why me?
Because you're the one that got this all together with the video.
All right, okay.
Which is going to look spectacular. Yeah. But favorite driver of
Michael
all time,
Schumacher.
Favorite driver and team currently on the grid.
That's a bit tough. The Schumacher bias, so obviously Mick Schumacher, even though he's a rookie right now, but I don't care.
Okay. And the moment that got you into the sport?
Spain with the pain, 1996.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm old.
So we'll go with old. we are the older crowd now, except for Tom's. He's keeping us young,
balancing it out.
We'll go with you, Tom's. Yeah.
With me, favorite driver of all time, Nico Rosberg. Favorite drivers currently, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz, and moment that got me into Formula One. I was a little kid. It was 1999, 2000. The first few coverages appeared on TV about Formula One, and I started watching races, and Michael Schumacher was winning in a red car, and that was the moment that I remember. As soon as you turn on that TV, Michael is winning. So those are my childhood memories that got me into the sport, and I loved it. So yeah.
You guys came in at a good time.
The good old days.
The good old days. What about you, Greg?
My favorite driver of all time. I was thinking about it when you asked Raz that question, and I don't think I have one yet. I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't think I can answer that question yet. But how I got in was with the death of Ayrton Senna, actually. I've seen only a glimpse of F1 maybe once or twice in my youth, but mostly it was IndyCar. Right, I used to be IndyCar because that was all we had open wheel here. I didn't know anything about what was going on over there, and when Ayrton Senna died, it was like, oh, the rest of the world, oh, well, who's this guy, Ayrton Senna? Like, what happened? So this is like '94, and and it was like basically since then. So I'm the Benetton B194, B195, Michael Schumacher, Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, Nigel Stepney.
Flavio, you can't forget Flavio, obviously.
and Flavio Briatore, 100%. I still have
the scandalous goat.
Yeah, Flavio. So that's kind of how I got in, and that was it, man. That was it.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm the late bloomer out of all of us. I was into WRC a lot. So rally as a kid, and kind of ventured out from there. Again, I saw the Senna documentary. I guess now it's been 10, 11 years since they made that. And got into the whole Red Bull battles and 11, 12, all there. And of course, that leads into Webber being my favorite driver. And don't really have one on the grid right now as a team, but probably say Leclerc is the one I'm running with right now. Love to see him come up from the feeder series. So yeah, it's been a ride since, and I became absolutely obsessed. So I get to share with y'all, which is always fun. But a little background for all of us, but we have got a lot to cover here in probably too short of a time. Imola.
Oh.
Second race of the season.
What a race.
We'll kind of set it up.
The bomb. What a race, dude.
When was the last time we actually had a race like this? In the recent...
Well, the last one was pretty good. The Bahrain was good, but this one was the next level. This was a massive one.
It had a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
it had
you have the rain
thrills
at
and
the start. You
spills.
have the red flag. Uh, that was massive.
Yeah, it was started out. I mean, the big story that's always been is going to go the whole season is going to be Verstappen versus Hamilton. But we'll give a little recap. As Lewis got pole, Perez and Verstappen in P2, P3, McLaren and AT. Well, I had it down. AT AlphaTauri had pace, while Aston, Haas, and Alpha looked like they had not a lot. And track limits were definitely going to be a factor, which we did see today as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll start off with kind of pre-grid. Aston having issues. Alonso hit the wall. What are you guys' thoughts with that? And then, of course, the start with Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean the start was kind of before you even get to the grid, you see the guys. It was very weird because the track was wet on some places, and the others it was pretty dry-ish. And but you saw the guys were kind of struggling, and some guys were on the wets, some guys were on the inters, and it was just your typical. I was so glad that they didn't have a safety car start. I always enjoy wet starts right from the grid, and it was as it was it's always messy at these starts, but Max he did a good job. I think one of the key elements for me from this race was a few years ago Red Bull were always really really bad during wet starts. They always dropped 5-6 places at the start. This today they nailed it, and frankly that start you can argue was the one that actually got Max the win. P3 to P1, it was a good move. It was kind of aggressive. Lewis did lose a bit of front wing, but I think it was fair. I don't think it's racing, and from then on in, Lewis was coming back to him every once in a while before the red flags, but Max got it under control, and that start was massively important. And he kept that P1 until the end. So that's the initial thought. What did you guys think about the start?
Well, yeah, as Tom touched on, the crazy thing was the pre-grid stuff. I mean, my goodness, but that last year there was such a big noise made about, especially by Renault, about the Racing Point Aston Martin rear brake ducts, and of all the things to catch fire, it was the rear brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time I was chatting with my mates, and it was like we all basically thought Cyril Abiteboul is sitting somewhere in France watching this and giggling his ass off, right? As in, like, because the whole pink Mercedes saga and all that stuff. So yeah, that was a bit weird. I mean, I was like, wow, okay, drama already. It was, you already knew that this race was going to be crazy. The fact that there was drama on the grid and leading up to the grid before the race even started, and getting onto the actual start itself, Max, brilliant launch, and made the most of the opportunity he had, because as we saw, this track literally only has one passing or overtaking spot, turn 2-3 chicane. And we saw that with all the moves made, even later on in the race by Lewis. So Max basically had to assert his authority and, like, right, I'm going there, I'm gonna make this move, I'm gonna make it happen. And and Tom's just touching on the whole Lewis losing a bit of the end plate element. He actually lost it not by contact, because if you look at the replay, it was going over the actual orange,
it was the curbs,
orange curbs, those big ones, and because that looked violent, how he bounced over it, especially in slow motion when they show it in slow motion, and I was just like,
it's the whole,
and they just look so fragile, when you see it, you're like, oh, it's gonna break his suspension completely and everything like that. So it was that, and because it's an old school track, I love the gravel trap. So it really brought the sort of jeopardy to the drivers to be more careful, and, like, they earned their money today, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good. That was my take on the start and the first few laps, and then obviously it all went to crap. So yeah, that's my take.
What about you, Greg?
Oh, that start was crazy. Max completely aced it. It was a brilliant idea starting off in second gear. That was just, that I don't know where he made
Yes.
that decision at the last minute, maybe it was him or not, but it was fantastic. And that's really what gave him that opportunity to make the most of it going into the corner. Like that put him in the right position, just to even threaten it. To give him to put him in the right spot was phenomenal. Um, and he just held it. It was great, but the mid pack, holy crap, that's where just it was just phenomenal. I mean, like
Anything and everything.
I don't even man like just
We'll get to that when we get to that in this section.
just yeah, we gotta take this in peace. That's a really broad question right now.
Take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys touched on everything. It was a brilliant start, and I mean he really won the race with that I wouldn't say it's a lunge, but definitely with that move, controlled the pace throughout. He almost threw it away after one of the safety cars.
Oh
He had a
yeah.
little moment
Into the Ravazza, yeah.
Yeah, it was tense, but he did well, and he's showing maturity. He's showing how his racecraft. It's all kind of coming together. It looks like this season for him, so it's exciting. And Rebel, it doesn't look like they just have pace in one circuit. It looks like they have pace different circuits, different conditions, which is really nice to see.
Finally.
Perez did the opposite a little bit, and he went through a lot, and we'll kind of go through that. But
Oh yeah, he had a bit of a disaster.
he did. Had a lot of rookie moments this race too.
Well, for the rookies.
Caught out. Yeah, for the rookies. Had just a lot of moments. There was a lot of contact those first couple laps. But Latifi taking himself out on Mazepin. And Schumacher failing to warm up his tires.
No, it was he was on the thing was because of the nature of the undecidedness where some teams went onto the full wets and some teams went onto the inters because it really did look like there was parts of the track which were genuinely wetter than others, and it was like, is it monsooning in, you get to turn 7 or something like that, and it's, bucketing it down, and then the pit straight was relatively dry, and then it kind of moved around a bit, which is what I think made the choice and the thing worse. Plus, the colder temperature made it even harder to warm up the tires themselves. So yeah, hence why Schumacher was literally warming it up on the pit straight. So and then he just blocked the pit exit. Sorry, by crashing in. So and then he had to do a whole lap.
2 laps.
Oh yeah, 2 laps because it was behind the safety car, and he was like, oh. And unlike Italy last year where Hamilton pitted in, he was told to stay out. So obviously people learn lessons from last time. And mind you, the pit entry light was more visible as well, considering that in Monza it's on the outside of Parabolica, so you really have to look
kind of at the cross the track.
Essentially, whereas because this is much more of a narrow track, you can actually see it, and even I saw it on the coverage as well. I mean, on it was flashing there, that with the big X and everything like that. So yeah, that was weird to watch. A couple of laps with no front wing, and he was struggling like mad, but yet somehow still managed to finish ahead of his teammate by a considerable amount. So yeah, good.
And convincingly finished ahead of him.
Yeah. So for the rookies, Mick Schumacher, obviously they're not in the best car and they know it, and to have the worst car with the worst conditions, with 2 rookies, it is going to be tough for all of them. The only thing that did catch me out was Tsunoda. After the sensational start he had last time out in Bahrain, this time it was a bit of a sort of reality check, is my sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, he had a rough one. He really had a rough race.
He had a rough qualifying as well. That's where it started. He crashed out, and that set him back.
Yeah. They rebuilt his car.
But he's a rookie. This is the second race. I mean, people, they kind of hyped him up after the Bahrain race. He was phenomenal in Bahrain. I get it. But like you said, Rez, I think this is the right word. It's reality check. Be careful. He's still learning. He's still a kid.
And not only that, the track is so different from Bahrain. You've got the runoffs and everything like that. Here, the curbs are different. They're a bit more aggressive. You've got gravel traps everywhere. You've got, even world champions made mistakes here. So it was, it wasn't a bone dry circuit whereby, you'll have so much grip like these cars do. You really had to be on your wits, to navigate. So, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of showed some of his less of experience that he had in an F1 car today. But I think he did overall. I think it's a good learning experience for them too. I mean, I don't think it gets much more difficult than this with changing conditions and
safety cars, red flags, everything.
Yeah, safety cars. Yeah, they had everything to deal with today. So track limits, they were really severe on that. So I think he just kind of every when it rains it pours kind of deal. I think he got it all out, and I think the races to go in the future I think will be a lot more smooth.
I mean, we still got a really long season ahead potentially. I should add potentially because we don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the year.
Yeah. Well, where do we want to go from here? Because we got a few. I know the
crash.
Okay, let's just do it. Let's go.
Okay, wait. So let's first off, what happened way before the crash? Lando Norris. What happened? How did he end up being? I missed how he got knocked back so far. Because if I'm not mistaken, they both started 6th and 7th, right?
6th, 7th. He had contact, I think, with somebody.
No. Remember, turn 1 was a bit, hairy, and that's what it was. And then I think it was just a melee at turn 1, which basically, that first gear start, second gear start thing, and but yeah, and because it was such a lottery into Tamburello, sorry, turn 2 as we should say. But yeah, but then before that, Lando was like, I'm faster than him, but yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, by far.
That was also the key element for McLaren. We talked about it before the race, that when he said, let me by, and he immediately jumped to seconds and seconds ahead of Ricciardo, he got that track position that quite possibly put him in later in the position to get that podium. Obviously, he had to overtake Charlie before, but to get to that point where you have to overtake him, that element where he didn't lose too much time behind Daniel, that was and that's the savviness of the team. That look, we have to take this, we have to take this position, and I think it's again, we talked about a lot how Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel have revolutionized this McLaren team. They've brought them back, and that was
sensational, man.
That was decisions like this is what makes a great team.
Yeah.
Quick, decisive, and there was no lip. There was no. I mean, regardless of how Ricciardo felt, I mean, dude, the kid's pulling up on you. You move over, Move over. And if you can hang with him, hang. But if not, then.
And he couldn't throughout the weekend. Ricciardo, I get the adaptation point. He's still adapting, but Lando is so far convincingly having his number, and that's fine. But Lando has taken. This shouldn't be about what Ricciardo hasn't done. This should be about what Lando has done.
100%.
Furthermore, it was about optimizing the result overall. Sorry, I'm speaking like Ron Dennis, but. Optimizing.
That's right. That's not a good part.
Yes, I tend to wander into Ron speak every now and then. I can't help it. It was wise of McLaren to actually think right, because they were P5 and 6 for and they were way ahead of the who was it, Stroll in 7th at the time, or it was
Something like that.
No, it was
Yeah.
Gasly with that Gasly train. Remember?
Science.
And
Or science.
But they had enough of a gap behind that they could actually experiment and say, right, you know what? Let's give it a shot, see what happens. And that's exactly what they did. And then Lando just, there was like a 5-lap window which they made it work. And Lando just like, right, I'm checking out of here. And
by the way, kudos to Ricardo for not trying to play some games, for actually getting out of the way and realizing that, okay, we have to do this. Because if you wouldn't blame somebody if he didn't, but he did it, so that was good for the team.
Yeah. No. Under this circumstance, I would have blamed him for sure, 100%.
Well, yeah, but you understand what I mean. Like, from a competitive standpoint, if he got bitchy about it, then, fine. But he did it. He did it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Because he would have been a bitch if he did. Oh, shit. Are we 5 minutes in?
Yeah, we're done.
Yes, we are.
Because he would have been a bitch if he did do that, right? And he's not. Thank God.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, man. Well done, man.
So it was an optimal team result, as Ron Dennis would say. So, yeah.
Oh,
It was a smart play.
This is the headline of this podcast. Ricardo wasn't a bitch. Yeah.
That's your clickbait.
Speaking of Ron Dennis, I think I know what's triggering my inner Ron Dennis. It's your Vodafone McLaren shirt, isn't it? Yeah. The good old days.
He went real retro with that.
This is my shirt.
That's from 2008 as well. So, yeah, Ron Dennis is back.
Uh-huh.
And Martin Whitmarsh as well. Yep.
That's right.
Okay. Moving on.
So now do we talk about the crash?
Well, that was literally halfway through the race. So, I think we're about
lap 32.
But you know what happened? But just before, I gotta say, leading up to the point before that crash, I don't think I've ever been as tense in my life. Like that was like literally some real tense moments. Like when the crash happened, I was like, oh shit. But after I was like, oh.
Well, the thing was,
that was when Lewis was catching Verstappen, you mean?
It was the pit stop sequence which really got everyone because, this is just the build up towards the crash. It's like, because it was the problem was the reason why the mediums or the softs weren't working at that particular moment in time was that it wasn't the fact that the track was or the racing line wasn't wet. It was temperature. The track temperature was that much colder that it took time for the tires to switch on, and it was only when because Seb was like, he came in a few laps early, like what was it, about 5 laps early or something like that.
Yeah, he was bleeding time for a little bit, and then he started catching up. And then
as soon as he went purple, right, that's when everyone scrambled in. But the thing is, Max and I think Max was 1 lap earlier, and so So then at least he knew that, okay, fine, I need to go in early so I could warm them up, because everyone knew that, okay, the warm up was going to take a bit of time. So and then obviously Seb held on to the fastest lap for a bit because he was like a few laps onto those tires, and it just took at least 3 laps before we saw a fastest lap from Max Verstappen. So the warm up was the issue, which invariably led to this whole thing. But yeah, take it away. You want to talk about the crash? I'm gonna sit here with some popcorn. Not that I haven't.
Well, I guess just set up the scene a little bit is what Russell tried to take him out on the outside.
Yeah, outside. Yeah. Well, it was the inside of turn 1, but turn 1 doesn't really exist because it's a kink, right? On the straight. Because I don't know why they call it turn 1. It's not a turn. It's just just a little thing. But,
a sweeper, yeah. And Russell tried to take him out on the outside, and he collected Bottas, which was having a pretty horrific race.
It looked like a bloody wreck, didn't it? I mean, the whole track was...
It looked pretty bad.
The track was... like you see those good old day accidents right? I say good old day, but
Spa 98.
It's like, oh, this is awful. This is the worst start I've seen to Grand Prix racing ever, right? Sorry.
Yeah, his bad day exploded all over that track. That was crazy.
Well, Raikkonen's cam was insane. It was just like you saw them come together. There were sparks, and it was just like an explosion of bodywork.
It's almost like someone.
It was
you're right. It was like a.
All right, so whose fault? Okay, so whose fault?
Nobody's. I think nobody's. I think
no.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that when Russ, there we go. This is where the video comes in.
This is where the video is good.
Okay, all right.
No, but my thoughts, my quick thoughts. I think that Russell is approaching him, but he's still behind Bottas. He's not like side to side. He's approaching him fast, but he's not there. Bottas knows that Russell is not next to him, so he kind of still moves to take the proper line. He moves slightly to the right, and I think that caught out Russell because he was approaching him at a bigger speed than Valtteri expected, and then he dips his wheel on the grass and he takes them out. I think it's a misjudgment on both guys' part. I mean, you can argue that Bottas should not have moved to the right. You could argue that Russell should have lifted earlier. But I think it's one of those things that, in my opinion, it's a racing incident.
All right. I'm going to give the counter argument, right? Okay.
Devil's advocate.
First of all, let's set the scene, right? Williams. For them, every single point counts. I mean, literally.
He's quoting Russell right here.
Yeah.
No, because
I see where this is.
Yeah. I'm gonna get something from George Russell after this year.
Where's your Williams cap? Yeah.
Well, I don't have Williams cap. I'll put my official. Well, I can't get that on right now, but there you go. Yeah, I've got a podium finisher. Pirelli cap. Yeah. Caps aside, Williams. Every single point counts, right? For Bottas, P9 is like, I don't care, right? He literally doesn't care, right? Also, both those drivers are fighting for that seat for next year. Okay, let's be honest. There's a lot at stake here. But
this was pride.
Getting back to the racing a bit, and this also is going to be touched on with the Raikkonen-Schumacher thing just behind them. Bottas didn't have DRS. Russell obviously had DRS and the overspeed that comes with it. And obviously he turned up his Merc engine because it's, guess what, a Merc engine, right? So Bottas should have realized. And then obviously with the slipstream, you get the extra tow so you could just launch off. He'd already committed, okay? And you can see that he'd already committed. Earlier on, exactly. So it's like when Max and Lewis, they already knew who's committed to where, okay? But it was just that veering to the right a bit, okay? Because there are two lines into turn one, effectively, or turn two, sorry. You got the inside line, which is a bit narrower, but he was already defending the inside line. So if he was already defending the inside line, why did he have to just give it a bit of a friendly nudge, right?
Raz, can I interrupt you? Just a second.
Dude, I'll let you say everything. Right, let me finish off the point I was going to make. Knowing that it's a damp track, and it just, the racing line was too narrow for that. If it was bone dry, it wouldn't have happened.
Sure. Exactly.
If it was bone dry, it wouldn't have happened. So, and the overspeed is what it is. So, okay, what happened afterwards with all the effing and bliming and the finger wagging and all that stuff, right? That's for Netflix Drive to Survive, right? They're obviously gonna milk it, right, for what it's worth.
They're foaming at the mouth with
it's
all
like
that.
Whoever's in the Netflix or a production office and everything like that must have been like, yes, we got our first big thing, right? And everything like that. But and then coupled with that, Raikkonen had to lift not just lift but brake. He also had his DRS open as well as Schumacher, because you can see it in the back of the shot. Schumacher had his DRS open, and that would have been an almighty crash had Raikkonen and Schumacher just not, thought, whoa, okay. But mind you, the explosion was that big with all the confetti. A blind man could see what was going on. But that's my side as to if it was bone dry, racing incident. But this wasn't bone dry. and there was more at risk.
This was him getting mad. He got pissed off. He was just that. This was Bottas's emotions. Okay, got the best of him because he should have let him go. There should not have been a contest. What are you even doing back there?
Yeah.
Like, what are you even doing?
In arguably one of the top flight cars,
Right, and he's coming down on you like you're a rookie. Like this is your first year. Wow. Like this was his ego coming into play, 100%. He should have just let him go. He was having a shit race. Sometimes you just gotta have a shit race. Seriously, sometimes you just gotta have a shit race. It's whatever. But it would have been better if you let him go and then followed him. But the problem is like a couple laps earlier, Toto was like, "Come on, Bottas!"
Yes, there was that on the radio as well. Yeah.
He was like, "Come on, bitch, let's go! Like, stop! What's going on here?" So he was getting a lot of pressure leading up to that point. So, that's his. There's a lot of variables there. Like,
and then Russell turning up to steal his seat next year, right? In his rear view mirrors, right?
Fine, sealed today.
But like, can I point out a counter argument to what you said, Raz, about the start? How Lewis and Max, they were kind of more measured. Well, that's because they already knew that they are next to each other. As Russell is still behind Bottas when he's approaching. He's still behind.
Obviously,
so
he
when
would have
he
seen
goes
him
to
in
the
his mirrors because guess what? He's tucked in behind him to get the slipstream. That's how you race.
I get that. Yeah, but at the same time,
for like 3 corners.
He's
behind. So it's not like as if he's
how did
like
Lewis Hamilton overtake everyone later on? From behind. You don't do it from the side.
That's big, but he was already a lot closer to them than Russell was to Bottas.
I'll have to watch the replay again, but we could argue about that.
Well, me too. No, I'm just saying that he was still behind. So if Bottas is thinking at that moment that Russell should lift more because there is not that much space, and I'm not saying that Bottas did the right thing of veering to the right. That was a stupid thing to do, and he should have some blame for that as well. And I'm not, but that's what I'm saying. But Russell is still behind, so he also has to judge the situation slightly better. That's why I think there's blame on either side, and that's why I think on both sides, and that's why I think it should be a racing incident on balance. Not that Bottas did everything right.
However,
I kind of don't disagree. Sorry, I kind of don't disagree. Okay, I kind of don't disagree because both people's egos got the best of them in this situation.
Right. Yeah.
It was Russell's ego when he was just like, "Come on, bitch, I'm faster, move.
I want your seat."
Really,
right.
He would have had a opportunity if he'd have waited.
Yeah, exactly.
However,
But he's not that mature yet, right? He did a little Verstappen-ish,
Yep.
I get your point, Tom. I don't wrong you for that, but at the same time, like Bottas did implode mentally.
I'm just going to add another point to that point,
question.
Right? Which is, let's be honest, right? Russell and Williams needed that 9th place more than Bottas does, right? And not only that, but also for the Williams to be that close to earn Mercedes, okay, where they should be fighting with the Haas's, right? This was their golden opportunity, effectively. Right, it's these crazy races where they knew that these are the kind of races where they could maximize and pick up the points because they know any other day, any other bone-dry Tilke track, they won't get it, right? That's why I feel like it's more. Even Toto Wolff can't agree if he definitely knows it's not 50-50, it's more 60-40, but which way no one really knows. But I feel for Williams as to like they could have actually got the 2 points they needed and that's it, right? And they'll never score another point again, and that's the thing. And as opposed to the whole thing about Russell being a Mercedes driver and Bottas being a Mercedes driver as well. So I kind of feel that, Bottas should have let it go, knowing that the Mercedes has the pace. Later on, if the track would have dried up, right, which it did, he would have easily cruised past him. So that's my...
But Raz, to your point, this goes back to what Greg said.
I said I'm adding to the point.
Yeah. And to that, I'm adding that, okay, so Russell knows that Williams needs these points. Doesn't this tie into what Greg was saying, that Russell should be more patient in that situation then, because he knows what's at stake.
No, because he had the
And that
overspeed already. He had the overspeed already.
But he was still behind.
Dude,
Raz.
where are you
He
supposed to
wasn't next to
overtake
it.
from? Right? Let's look at the camera replay again. You'll see he wasn't like 10,000 meters behind. He was behind enough.
He wasn't also next to
came down to, at the end of the day, guys, it came down to Bottas didn't realize he lost the corner.
Yeah.
Probably.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem with most drivers. And listen, I come across this shit all the time, even fucking RC racing. And this is a big problem, is that because your ego won't allow you to know when you've lost the corner. You always think you've lost the corner after you've actually lost
it. It happens on GT Sports online racing as well. I mean, I've seen that happen to me a few times as well. It's like
that's a really good point. I like that point.
Andrew, you've been kind of quiet. What do you think?
Oh, I'm eating this up. This is content right here.
Well, I suppose there'll be a whole episode on this on Netflix Drive to Survive season 4.
Probably.
Right, we gotta wait a year for that.
Yeah.
I think there was both to blame. I think Bottas. There was no reason why Bottas should have been in that position. I don't really realize why. So when Bottas has a bad race, he has a bad race. It's just it all falls apart. And once he gets into the pack, he just sucks. Like I don't know if it's more him than it is the car. I know that car isn't really built to be in the pack rather than be up front. You can see that in some instances, but Lewis charged through the field. Granted, it was drier conditions, but I just don't think he's not as aggressive at where he needs to be. So one, he's in a position he doesn't need to be at the point. Russell he's tasting blood. This is the opportunity. He's going to take the opportunity. I think Bottas moved a little bit into his line to kind of make a little defensive, swerve maneuver to kind of give some intimidation. And I think Russell probably overcorrected, dropped the tire, and that was it. I think Russell should have taken that move 9 out of 10 times. I think it was a lot wetter on that outside. I think he dipped the tire into the wet grass, and it was going to happen. I don't really get how. I get how upset he was with it. Going in, giving him a little love tap on the helmet. But I think that's racing in general. I just think it's a racing incident. As what Raz said, if this was dry, I think he dips a tire into the grass, loses momentum, and Bottas has the corner. But Russell had him. But Russell was going to take that corner.
He had him from time. But look. Norris was faced with the same situation. With Lewis.
But he just let him go because he knew that's not his fight.
He defended that corner because he placed his car properly going into that whole situation, and Lewis was checking the corner prior, and he knew he couldn't have placed it properly. Bottas didn't understand what.
I don't think he
the racing line and the defensive line.
I don't think he realized the speed. I don't think he realized the speed that he was coming in towards, and I don't think.
No, man. No. He knows he has DRS. He's been there before. Remember, these guys have been driving on this track all their lives. Okay?
Yeah.
All their lives. Like from the first arcade game, this track was on it. They know this track.
Yeah, even if you were playing on a PS2.
They know it. There's no excuse for that other than you imploded, man. He mentally imploded.
Well, that's what I'm also saying is I don't think he really realized he was coming up that fast because he's not having this, stellar race. He's dropping through the field. He's just not
nervous.
Okay, can I just end this with a steward's decision of what happened?
Or did they come out with it?
Okay. No further action after the Bottas and Russell collision. Car 63 is racing incident. Car 63. However, Car 63 approached with a significant speed advantage, which was the overspeed we were talking about. DRS plus overtake mode on, plus the slipstream, tow that you get, and you get like an extra, God knows how many kilometers an hour. As the cars approached the kink of T1, so he was T1 kink, not T2, which is Tamburello, right? Where the accident actually happened. So he wasn't as far back as you say he was, Toms. So T1 kink, the gap between them and the right-hand side of the track decreased. However, here's the interesting point. At no time did either car maneuver erratically, apparently.
I think it was so slight too, because you could see the nose move to the left, but I don't think it wasn't like a veer. It wasn't like a Magnussen kind of move.
The thing is, the straight isn't straight. Yeah, I know it sounds wrong.
I think he's setting up for the corner. I think he's setting up for the corner. I think he's positioning his car maybe slightly to defend, and I think he did it way too late.
Hang on, and turn one, or kink one, as I'm going to call it, is a right-hander. T2, 2, 3, and 4, which is the chicane at Tamburello, is a left, right, left. So obviously you're going to set yourself up for the optimal line. Here I go again, optimizing things. We're like Ron Dennis. Optimal line would be on the right to swoop in to carry the speed through the apex. I know I'm going very technical here, but I know.
Sure. Controlling you.
Well, you're just gonna get me. What am I gonna do next, right? Get rid of my hair and going full Ron speak, and you know he doesn't like beards, and so it's. I can see why it's a racing incident because
I don't think there needs to be any sort of blame
going into a left-hander. You are automatically gonna go from left to right to get the optimal line in.
And here it is. And so Bottas didn't realize that the amount of speed that Russell was approaching, he was still ahead. So he was moving slightly to the right to take the corner on the ideal, let's say, trajectory. But at that moment, it was already too late.
It was too wet. And that's the main thing.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens, and and thank God. And this is, I think, who was it? Was it Ted Kravitz or Anthony Davis? One of these lads said that look, guys, you need to chill. Remember, '94 could have been a lot worse. Yeah. So I think the most important thing, it was a big one. You saw, Valtteri was really like shaken up after that. Hit. And but what? They came out of the cars and they were cussing at each other, and that's fine.
Yeah, but, that's adrenaline. All that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. But a few months ago we saw what happened at Bahrain. Thank goodness Grosjean got out. I don't even want to think about alternative scenarios. This is the most important thing. These guys walked out of there. That's what matters.
Well, that's why we're sitting there having this debate.
Yeah, I mean, it's all fun and games having this debate. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? So yeah.
Yep.
It goes on a bit, by the way, about the whole no erratic thing, but it's just basically car 63 hit an especially damp patch, and that's what caused the snap.
Yeah. You can notice the sound audio and everything.
Yeah.
But let's go to the other incident earlier at lap 32, which was Lewis's rare mistake.
It's so rare. I mean, you can't even get a steak that rare.
And of course, he goes off, and I'm thinking he's done. He's absolutely, pitting the gravel. And his genius is to go backwards. When I saw it, I'm like, there's no way he's getting out of this. And then you see it. You see him crawl back, and I'm like, this dude won't stop racing.
No, and you know what makes it even worse? Yeah. I mean,
and then he finishes on the podium.
Yeah. Dude, I almost got up. I thought it was done. I was like, it's done. It's over.
And can I put my conspiracy theory hat on? Because conspiracy theories, everyone loves a good conspiracy, and that kind of thing. Yeah, obviously that Lewis incident, the conspiracy is basically the red flag was deliberately caused so that Lewis could be put back into the race properly. Oh, boo-hoo. Come on, man. Come on. As much as I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan, as much as no. I mean, the internet is all full of this shit, right? So there will be conspiracies, so I might as well just get it out there, give them the airtime, and make it sound as ridiculous as it is, because it is ridiculous.
When the guy has bad luck, he even has good luck to go with it. He was able to get out of the gravel trap, red flag, able to unlap himself in that,
Amazing.
charges through the field with new tires. Dude, he's just like
How lucky is this guy? You know, it's
He's lucky.
he is absolutely
yeah.
blessed.
I mean, yeah, that
But you have to say, you know, the way. Okay, fine, he's racing slower cars. We get that, but the dude was flying through the field. And you know what shocked me? What shocked me was the fact that the tires actually held on pretty well. Like he was fully using them for like 30 plus laps.
Yeah, well, the mediums
and they
were,
stood.
yeah.
And even mediums, but even Lando's tires. Lando was competing
He was
with
on
him
softs.
with
Yeah,
softs
exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and the we saw the tire drag in Bahrain was hefty. Okay, it's always kind of hefty there. But like even today they were fully pushing and pushing and pushing, and the tires stood, and that shocked me. I thought that after 15 laps Lewis would fall back. He didn't.
What was nuts was he was absolutely flying, but I think it was the overtake that had an overhead shot. I think it was the Sainz overtake. He had him by that corner, turn 2, 3, and he was already out the exit of 3 when Sainz was still at the chicane. Like he was gone.
Oh, God,
and I was just like, you see the time, and it's like 1.2 seconds. I'm like, this guy is just it's phenomenal.
It was like he was possessed, right? That's how, you know, it was that good. I mean, okay, I'm no Lewis Hamilton fan because I'm just not, right? Don't hate me. Don't hate me, internet, right? You know. Don't cancel me, right? You know. But honestly,
dude, if anyone's gonna get cancelled, it's gonna be me because I'm a Rosberg fan.
No. Trust me, I'm more than likely to be cancelled. But we could discuss that for another point in time. But no, honestly, I would say, apart from the incredible luck, the thing is, he made it count. You know, I mean. It could have happened to, say, for example, anyone else, okay, whereby, you know, let's take, for example, Alonso, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm saying any...
I see what you did there.
Your random check.
No, but the thing is, you've got to make the most of the opportunities you've got, right?
Yeah.
He's in a very strong car, not the fastest car, but strong car, suited to those drying conditions, and he used his abilities and skill to make the most of the given situation, because that's essentially, it was a sprint race after that. You know, we're talking about sprint races.
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna get, right? You know, this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he went back to those F2 days, remember?
Yes.
That's where he went.
And it was what,
like,
30?
Like, okay, and we've been here before.
It
Let's
was
go.
30 laps, wasn't it? And that's how.
Yeah, 30. Exactly.
So
it was exactly 30 laps.
So we literally got a taste of sprint races, right?
He went back to that year before he got into F1.
Yeah, 2006 Turkey. Yeah, that's right.
He went right back. You saw when he crouched down.
He's like, right, okay. What the no tire stops, no nothing. The only thing that could have ruined it. Sorry. Yeah, no. Sorry. The only thing that could have ruined it was another safety car. Let's be honest, right? You know, but after that red flag, it was essentially a full reset. Okay, and here's another technical thing that I must touch on. As a scrutineer, I know that you can, and I've checked it again as well, by the way, for this year. You know, the engine modes are locked. They're only locked in parc fermé conditions, but as soon as a red flag happens, it's all reset. What's not to say Merc could have actually turned it up a bit more, knowing that, okay, the conditions are cooler, we only need this for 30 laps, right? We could go for it, we could gun it, right? And it's for all teams, by the way. You can look this up, right? It's under the sporting regulations. The lock no longer applies after a red flag has happened, right?
Can we see if that's what they did?
You can't really tell because that's all information. But I know from a sporting regulation point of view, that is allowed. And forgive me, but I should have done this while I was saying it. Speaking as a scrutineer,
he brought it out.
Yeah, speaking as a scrutineer, that is allowed. So I knew it because as soon as the red flag happened, I was like, okay, these guys could reset now. They could turn up their engines, even if it is for 20 odd laps or whatever.
Well, they did that last year in Monza, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. So it's completely fair game, right? And I'm not complaining. And we all know that this year Mercedes have made an improvement. However, Red Bull obviously with the Honda package have made an improvement. That's why he was able to catch up. But I maintain that Red Bull didn't need to push with Max because
there was no reason to. And the only reason too was to try to get fastest lap, which of course Lewis did again with this, and that's what he's leading the championship with.
Yeah,
so
that confirmed my suspicion about them turning up the engine because they can legally they can turn up the engine, but the fact that Lewis Hamilton walked away with fastest lap
P2
with fastest lap, basically just underlined it all. Like, okay, yeah, they did turn it up. Right, because they can and they needed the point, so they just went for it.
Yeah, but wouldn't anybody?
Yeah, but the thing is,
well, he was on the charge
here. We didn't write the rule book. Like we're real late on this one, right? So wouldn't anybody have done that? Everybody, actually.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was a percentage game as well. Think about it. The other teams just needed to get to the end. Ferrari were like, yeah, we're fine here, right? But we don't even know how much of an improvement Ferrari have made.
Nah, man. No. They weren't like that. Remember, they were trying to run down Charles Leclerc was trying to run down Lando Norris.
Yeah, but what engine has Lando Norris got?
Right. So
the Merc engine. Yeah. Everyone bar.
No, what I'm saying is everybody unilaterally would have.
Yeah, they all did.
The
point is, I'm saying Hamilton was obviously able to turn it up to whatever he wanted to turn it up to get to that. Plus, coupled with one of the best chassis and everything else, and his skill behind the wheel and everything like that, he made the most of his opportunity as to like, right, okay, I've got free reign. I'm sure everyone else did that apart from
everybody.
Apart from say Verstappen, probably just enough to pull away from the pack to build up his lead.
Well, when he won by what
20
over
seconds,
20 seconds, anyways. Then I think he was just conserving time. So.
I think everybody turned it up. I think it's pretty safe to say that everybody would have turned it up, knowing that this whole thing just became a sprint race and everybody was going to be backed up against each other. Everybody should have been deathly afraid of Lando Norris today. Deathly afraid.
I guess we can move on to that.
He should have won this race.
We can move on to that. I know you really made the point of Norris was going to make a win or a podium, and he did. He got what? P3.
P3.
And
fighting until the end.
Medium?
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna.
Would have got P2.
Yeah, he did well with the softs. I thought off and everything. I thought Leclerc was gonna have him there, and he drove a phenomenal race today.
And he overtook Leclerc on the restart, and that made him the podium. It was okay. Eventually P3, fine, but that's okay. Mercedes, he was never going to get that one. But like up until that point, Leclerc couldn't really touch him. Even on like more favorable tires towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Him and McLaren are looking very racy this year.
Yeah. Like Lando P4 in Bahrain, P3 in Imola. 27 points. Quality.
He's third in the championship, right? So is McLaren.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna happen, guys. You watch. Lewis Hamilton, Norris, and Mercedes. I'm telling you. Gonna happen. Watch. Lose my shit.
Well, no, I would say with Norris, and this is what I believe was touched on in the commentary as well, about Norris was on the softer tires, okay, and obviously there was this whole worry about, will they last and everything like that. The fact is, because he was able to pull out and get that gap, right, then just kind of slightly nurse it a bit, right? Because he got enough of a gap before the mediums warmed up enough to catch him up.
Mm-hmm.
It worked, and hats
it was
off
cool too.
Yeah, and hats off to McLaren for acing it in terms of strategy in that regard, because it's like, right, okay, we know that they took with strategy, you have to take all that into consideration as regards to temperature, tire wear, and all the rest of that. Obviously, there must have been a bit of management going on. I wouldn't say he completely sprinted off, but the fact that he made it count when he could, using the extra pace from the softs at the beginning of the stint, that he made that work brilliantly. And then when the inevitable was going to happen, McLaren got onto the radio as well to him, like, look, if Lewis is going to come, don't bother, right, kind of thing, So because they know where they are.
But he made him work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's also like
he tried not to lose that much time to.
Yeah, but two decisions by McLaren. First, to spring Lando ahead of Ricardo, and to put him on the softs for the restart. Mm-hmm. That's what got him the podium. These two decisions, and this goes back to what I'm saying. This McLaren organization, it's set up perfectly. These two people at the top, Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel. Them boys know what they're doing, and they are, yeah.
Those guys know how to race, and they're not playing games. And I'll tell you, man, I couldn't believe it, man, when I saw Lewis Hamilton coming down on Charles Leclerc in front of Lando Norris, my 3 favorite drivers, dude, I was lost. I was done. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that was insane. Like, amazing driving by those 3 guys.
You do realize by the time we get to Spain, we won't see any of this crap anymore, unfortunately, because it's Spain, pain. Yeah. Right.
So we got Portugal before, so we.
I know, but still, Portugal, I'm not too sure about because.
No, man, it's gonna be good.
No, because what happened last year?
Portugal will be good.
You say that last year, right? It was only the first few laps with the spitting of the rain, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Right? And then it was just business as normal.
Yeah, right? But Mercedes were dominant that year. They're not this year.
They're not.
All right. Yeah, we'll get the.
All bets are off this year on every track.
Yeah.
That's off.
I think we'll have. I think it'll be a little bit more predictable in terms of placement. But I think we're still going to have that battle between the Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari and McLaren and.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting. What you're saying is, obviously, the fight for the championship is Red Bull versus Mercedes. Yeah. Best of the rest, if I could call it that, which is P2, P3, and P4. You're saying it's going to be McLaren versus Ferrari.
Yeah, McLaren versus Ferrari, and I think AlphaTauri is going to be there too.
I was going to mention that.
Which they had a good race. And I mean, we can kind of wrap this all together as kind of one of our last points. But I mean, Ferrari with P4 and P5, very strong showing.
22 points.
Splitting the McLarens with P6 with Ricardo. And I mean, Gasly came back with P8.
P8. Yeah, and this was after
that entire wet fiasco. Going off all this, he's still finishing P8. I think that power unit is there, and I think he's going to lead the charge with them.
What, that Honda power unit coupled with that very tidy chassis?
Mercedes. It's Honda versus Mercedes.
Yeah,
every level.
It is, and then I think you can throw Ferrari in as a wild card, and I think it's going to be really
entertaining. Kimi was P9 today. Kimi P9.
Yeah. Well, no, he had a retroactive penalty. On. So yeah.
I am not going to count Lando Norris out of this championship.
For the Drivers' Championship?
Yeah.
Do you think they're that good? I'm not sure.
I think he adapts that quickly.
But do they have the car to hang with Red Bull and Mercedes?
His experience after today, being able to race wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton for that long with no interruption, I think these guys have a real problem now. He's learned a tremendous amount from this experience, and the next time these guys race him, they're going to be in a lot of fucking trouble.
I think Lando is going to be a disruptor. I don't think he's going to be a contender. He's going to be a disruptor.
And I agree with that. And the only thing I think that's holding him back is going to be that car. I'm not saying it's a bad car. It's
just not at that level. Yeah.
I don't think it's there, and I think the amount of factors that have to go in for McLaren to be consistently at the top 3. You're going to have these dry, boring races in Spain. You're going to have you're just going to have
Paul Ricard at France. Okay, I'll change the record. Right.
Yeah. Now, if you start having instances like this and we have races canceled and a lot of rain and stuff, I think it's a possibility. But I think and I'm not saying Norris's racecraft isn't going to be up there. I just don't think the car is going to be quick enough. I think it's going to be that 3 tenths off where it matters.
Can I just add another thing to that? Remember, at some point this year, teams are going to have to switch focus. So even if I would say if McLaren are that, a few 4 tenths or whatever it is behind, they'll probably just leave it at that and then just say, okay, you know what, 2022, we got to start diverting more on that. If they just leave it at that and then it suddenly drops off a bit, McLaren are actually going ahead with looking into next year's car's development.
Which they should anyway.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When is which team gonna do that switchover? Haas, we already know. Haas basically said, yeah, whatever we put onto the car at Imola, that's it, right? We're fully focused on that. Now, the remaining 9 teams haven't really said when they're gonna switch over. That's gonna be the key part to this, right? When are suddenly teams gonna drop in terms of performance? Essentially, you're gonna have to throw away the rest of this championship at some point.
That will depend on how close they are, what positions they are, how many points they have. I don't think you'll see that prior to Spa Monza. It's not going to be quicker than September. And this is also, that applies to the championship as well. Like, if Red Bull and Mercedes are neck and neck, they can't just say, like, in October at Suzuka that, we're no longer going to compete for this year. They're going to have to be focusing on this year's car as well, which is going to be pretty interesting.
A bit, just enough.
Well, if the opportunity is there to make the money on your placement, you're going to take it.
Yeah.
That's bottom line. What's it, Greg?
Can't hear you, mate.
Harvey's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
My bad. Sorry, guys. I got excited. I think I got to touch the button.
Hit all the buttons.
I was gesticulating. Aren't there like 20 races this season?
23 apparently.
23.
Apparently.
Man,
however,
we've got like 15 races.
We got a long time.
There's a long time before we got to worry about that. The pecking order will be I don't think the pecking order is going to be established for a long time.
You say that, but I still think that there are going to be a few more cancellations this year. So the fact
Canada's
that they said
supposed to be.
Canada's
but Canada's going to be replaced.
Yeah, Canada's going to be replaced either by Turkey or by Nürburgring. Apparently, that's the rumor going around right now, because reasons. But I wouldn't be like the flyaway races towards the end of the year, right? Yeah. They're the ones that are more at risk. I mean, do you see
China, Australia,
Yeah, because Australia had to rejig itself right the way down to November. That itself was like a big rejig. I can't see, even though we say 23 races, I don't think we're going to get all 23 races this year. And that's purely because of the way things are in the world, so we just got to live with it. Just going to add one more thing. Which
makes every single race that much important.
Exactly. To maximize, if the teams that are maximizing now, knowing that, okay, let's say, for example, because currently here in Europe, we're going through a bit of a third wave with COVID and everything. So, what's to say that, okay, the rest of the European season gets cancelled? So you lose like 6 races right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's 6 opportunities gone. So
I don't know if it'll get that severe, but I mean the opportunity is there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it
Speculate.
Speculating.
We
don't know. I mean, dude, I lost my job because of COVID, but that's the way the world is. But so yeah. One thing, we were talking about Gasly getting P8.
Yeah.
Guess what? He got promoted to P7.
Why?
Stroll gained a lasting advantage when he overtook him on that chicane when he went wide. Yeah. So 5 seconds.
They are switched?
They've been 5-second time penalty has been added to Stroll's time. And he's got 1 penalty point as well. So
Stroll is P8 now?
Yep.
Bad weekend for Aston, man.
Oh, God,
Continues.
Oh, do we even have time?
Yeah,
no, we don't. We're gonna have to leave that for now.
We don't have time.
I think that's where we wrap it up.
Have a little time. Let's be honest.
Well, we go quick. What's up?
Real quick? Okay, then let me
real quick.
We're going to talk real briefly about the continuous implosion.
I'm literally going to time you on this now.
Okay.
What do you think you need? A minute?
Okay, Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian
Well,
Vettel.
what did he
What did he do?
He
What
do
could he do?
wrong? What did he do wrong?
What did he do wrong? Okay, all right. If you're gonna say Sebastian,
Greg's got a minute. You two got a minute each, and that's it. I'm gonna.
Okay, and then
it.
we're ending the podcast. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Go, Greg. Go.
Vettel hater.
He got literally decimated by his teammate. Slapped all over the place. I mean, now mind you, listen. I'm not saying he had a shit race because I don't remember him spinning or whatever. But sometimes you're just not quick enough, and that's just it. You're just not quick enough.
All right,
and sometimes you just gotta realize you're just not quick enough, and realize you're just not quick enough. Like that's it. Like, enough respect. I like you.
Can I just
Dude,
burst your little
I'm sure
fantasy?
that one day we might have a beer in Germany, and I'm sure we'd get on great. But dude, you're just not quick enough right now.
Okay, who has to take it? You got a minute.
Okay. I'm just going to burst his bubble right there. First of all, right, we talked about this prior to the podcast, right? There's only 2 drivers who have actually adopted to their new teams were better than the others, given everything like that. Okay, if you're saying Sebastian Vettel's so shit, okay, Fernando Alonso, Mr. Destiny, Mr. Thanos of F1 and motorsports, as I like to call him, because he wants to do the triple count. Vettel, right? How is it his... Vettel's Imola 2021, I could sum it up in a few sentences. In qualifying, he was stopped at the weighbridge at Q2. And obviously with qualifying, the stewards were getting happy with deleting lap times, okay? Granted. Even Lando Norris, you know, the new savior, got his lap time deleted, as we saw. Okay, brakes burn on the grid, okay? Whose fault was that? Was that his fault? No, I'll let you talk. Okay.
Your minute's up, Raz.
Okay, brakes burn, pit lane start, experimented on slicks, didn't work.
Got a
10-second penalty.
I give my minute to Raz.
He got a 10-second penalty for no fault of his own, and that's it. Can it get any worse? He's just going through a shit time. That's all it is, you know?
I think if I have 30 seconds, I think Aston Martin in general, they've been, they've just had a rough start to the year. They've had reliability issues throughout testing. I think, Seb is a completely new car, new conditions. He's barely had time to adapt to them. If he's still driving like this in Spa and Monza, then we can have a conversation. For the first 4, 5, 6 races, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. And this is where we can end the podcast, Andrew. Thank you very much.
I don't really have anything to put on with that. I guess that's going to be our first topic on the next podcast.
Yeah.
But man, this was good. It's good to have faces and
that's good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, animated conversations. But yeah, I think I think this is probably going to be the norm, right, Rez? You think?